In the vast expanse of space where stars are slowly fading, a ship races toward peril, not just for itself. A single decision could save a species or plunge them all into the depths of annihilation. Will these brave souls manage to save them before it's too late? This is a journey where they face death head-on, where sacrifice and resilience will be tested to their limits. The universe is vast, but humanity continues to fight. Will they prevail? There's only one way to find out. Follow this journey. The endless dark space stretched on forever, cloaking the silver ship in a cold, silent shroud. It moved quietly among nameless stars, with only the faint light from distant suns reflecting off the ship's smooth surface. Everything around it was empty, nothing but the deep silence of the universe. The ship, though modern and powerful, was but a small object in this infinite expanse. On the bridge, Captain Kayla stood alone, her hand gripping the control panel. The dim light from the display screens cast shadows on her face, creating an ethereal feel, as if she were sinking into the very space around her. Her eyes scanned the charts, the numbers feeling the strange unease of this unknown region. She sensed the tension in the air. A tension that couldn't be explained, a feeling that no one could name yet everyone could feel. "Captain, we're approaching the target system, Nix." The chief science officer spoke from behind, his voice calm but full of focus. He had pale blue skin, and his large, bright eyes seemed to notice details others might miss. His fingers moved swiftly across the control panel, analyzing the data. "We're almost there," Kayla replied, her voice low, as if contemplating what was to come. "Start the deep scan once we reach the outer rim. The Alliance wants complete data on this system." The ship continued its silent glide through space, and though everything seemed peaceful, a strange sense of unease pervaded the vast emptiness around them. A distant star system one humanity had never explored. Every time Captain Kayla gazed out the window, the faint light from the stars cast a peculiar reflection, as though it were a sign of something yet to unfold. "Captain," Ren, the communications officer, spoke with a hint of worry in her voice. "I'm picking up strange energy signals from the fourth planet. These readings don't match anything in our database." Kayla moved closer to the display. Twisted, colorful patterns, fluctuating energy readings, and everything seemed unstable. "Could this be a natural phenomenon?" she asked. But there was a hint of doubt in her voice. "Unknown," Nix answered, his gaze still fixed on the display. "This energy seems to be coming from deep within the planet. It could be some kind of rare mineral. Then we need to get closer to investigate." Kayla decided, her eyes suddenly sharp. "But keep us at a safe distance. We don't want to disturb whatever is causing this." The ship adjusted its course, moving closer to the energy source Ren had detected. As they drew near, things became clearer and more complicated. The light from the swirling energy created a strange and mysterious space difficult to comprehend. Though no one spoke it aloud, the entire crew sensed a growing instability in the air. The ship seemed to be entering an area of space where everything could change in an instant. "Captain, the energy levels are rising rapidly. Something's wrong," Ren said, her voice filled with concern. Before Kayla could respond, the ship suddenly jolted violently. Alarm sirens blared throughout the ship, and everything around them seemed to spin, as if the universe itself were twisting. The ship rocked heavily, and the space became unstable and dangerous. Captain Kayla gripped her seat, her eyes wide as she watched the display screens shift rapidly. "What's happening?" Kayla demanded, her voice tinged with worry. But just then, a deafening roar filled the air, and everything around them became a blur. The ship was plunging into an area of space that even the most advanced systems couldn't predict. The ship continued its approach to the target system, where the strange energy signals from the fourth planet seemed to intensify without end. Everyone on the bridge could feel the change, not just in the space around them, but in the air that enveloped them. An unexplained sense of unease was rising within everyone. "We need to act quickly." Kayla spoke, her eyes fixed on the screen as energy readings fluctuated continuously. But let's keep everything under control. Nix, I want you to continue analyzing this energy source. We need to be sure about the risk. Nix didn't respond immediately, his eyes glued to the constantly blinking graphs. All the gathered data indicated that this energy wasn't natural. It seemed as though there was some artificial element causing this disturbance deep within the planet. This energy doesn't resemble anything we've encountered before. Nix finally spoke up. It's not a natural phenomenon. It might be related to some kind of technology, or perhaps a sign of a major change in the planet's structure. Kayla felt a tightening in her chest. Could they be facing a potential weapon? A phenomenon never studied before. She didn't know, but one thing was certain. This change could bring unpredictable risks. Captain, I'm receiving another signal from the fourth planet. Ren, the communications officer, reported. These signals are growing stronger, almost like we can hear every word. What could this mean? Kayla asked, her tone tense. She had heard the worry in Ren's voice, and it only made her more uneasy. Ren paused for a moment before responding. It's like a distress call, but not from this planet. It's coming from somewhere farther, a place where no one may know about us. Ren's answer struck Kayla like a blow. A distress call. But from who and why would it be transmitted through this strange energy signal? Were they heading into an uncharted region where alien life forms needed their help? Or was it simply a trap? She didn't know, but she couldn't abandon them no matter what. Captain, Nix interjected, cutting off her thoughts. We can't ignore this signal. If it's a real cry for help, we might be their last hope. But not everyone agreed with this decision. We might be walking into a trap. Officer Ren interrupted. We don't know anything about these creatures. If we help them, could we be putting ourselves in danger? The energy from this planet might not just be a natural phenomenon. It could be a weapon or some form of control we don't understand. Ren, we can't just sit back while alien lives are calling out for help, Kayla firmly countered. This isn't just about us. This is about all lives in the universe. If we can help, we will. The argument escalated, and the tension on the ship grew thicker. Nix and Ren each had their reasons. Nix, the data analyst, understood the danger in this situation. Ren, on the other hand, prioritized safety, especially when they had no knowledge of what kind of life forms they might encounter. But in the end, Captain Kayla made the decision to proceed with the rescue. This wasn't just a risk. It was a belief in humanity's values, compassion, bravery, and a willingness to face danger for the sake of others. All right, Kayla said, her voice firm but determined. We'll get closer, but everyone has to be cautious. Nix, prepare for a full scan. Ren, make sure all communication channels are ready. We can't afford to miss any detail. The ship began to change course, heading toward the area where the energy from the fourth planet was growing ever stronger. The graphs on the display became chaotic, with unfamiliar readings that had never appeared before. Kayla could clearly feel the instability, but she couldn't turn back. Every decision came with a price, and she couldn't let fear stop her from doing what was right. The situation is deteriorating, Nix reported as the screen displayed rapidly increasing energy levels. If we don't act fast, we'll be caught in it, and there's no controlling it. A cold shiver ran down Kayla's spine. She had made her choice, and now was the time to face what was to come. She looked back at her crew, all of them silent. They all understood that even though they could die in this situation, they couldn't turn their backs on other lives. Start scanning the entire area once we hit the outer rim, Kayla ordered. Stay in contact at all times. The ship continued its forward motion, the sounds of the ship's systems growing tenser as they entered the disturbed area of space. Everything was kept quiet, but in the air an undeniable tension hung over them all. The ship continued to race through the dark expanse of space, and while the entire crew worked tirelessly to keep every system running, an overwhelming sense of unease hung in the air. The strange energy signals were growing stronger, wrapping around the ship like an invisible vortex. Kayla stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the display where energy readings seemed to change endlessly, as if both the ship and the planet ahead were teetering on the brink of collapse. Captain, the energy levels continue to rise. This is not a natural phenomenon. I think we are heading into a dangerous region of space. Nix reported, his voice calm but full of concern. We can't get too close or the ship will be strongly affected by the gravitational field. Kayla knew he was right. Though she had ordered them to get closer, her growing anxiety gnawed at her. Would they have enough time to reach the planet and rescue the life forms before the energy from the fourth planet triggered an uncontrollable chaos? Would the lives of these aliens they were trying to save be the price they would pay for this risk? The situation is still feasible, Captain, Ren said from the communications station. She was constantly scanning the electromagnetic channels trying to pick up a rescue signal from the fourth planet. I'll continue monitoring the signals. If anything changes, I'll report immediately. Even though Ren was very skilled at her job, Kayla still felt the creeping uncertainty with every passing moment. One mistake, one wrong decision, and it would all be over. She felt the weight of every decision pressing down on her shoulders. How could she help when everything around them threatened their very survival? We don't have much time, Nix said, looking at her. If we continue, we might be pulled into the core of the collapsing star, and we won't be able to save anyone. A heated argument broke out on the ship. Nix and Ren remained firm in their positions. They didn't believe the ship could survive if it ventured into the core of this collapsing star system. They were right theoretically, but Kayla understood that if they ignored this rescue signal, they wouldn't be able to live with themselves. How could they turn their backs on Leo lives calling for help, no matter how dangerous it was? We can't let fear stop us from doing what's right. Kayla spoke firmly, her voice resolute but filled with determination. If this is our only chance to save them, we will do it. Don't let fear win. Her words were like an order, one that could not be refuted. Everyone on board knew that when the captain made a decision, they had no choice but to follow, regardless of the consequences. And of course, this decision wasn't easy. Everyone understood that even if they managed to save these alien lives, they could very well face death in the next moment. Move into position for data scanning, Kayla commanded. Be careful, but be quick. The ship began to change course, and in the dark space, the outline of the fourth planet became increasingly distinct. Everyone aboard was silent, listening to the sounds of the ship's systems working at full capacity. Every time the ship jolted, everyone felt a hard punch to their minds. A slight shake could be the sign of their imminent end. But Kayla pressed on, not turning back. We're receiving an increasing signal from the fourth planet, Captain. Ren called out, her voice tense. Energy levels are rising exponentially. We can't stop now. Don't stop, Kayla replied firmly. Keep pushing forward. Even if we have to face danger, we won't turn back. The ship barreled toward the center of the collapsing star system. Fragments from destroyed planets swirled around them like sharp shards of glass. The chaos was uncontrollable, but Kayla had no other choice but to continue. The pressure is too intense, Captain, Nix reported, his voice trembling. If we don't slow down, we'll be torn apart. Slowing down is not an option, Kayla answered coldly. Prepare for Plan B. We will survive no matter what. As the ship hurtled through the dangerous space, everything around them seemed to fracture. The electronic systems were starting to malfunction, and the ship began to shake violently. With every passing second, their safety grew more fragile than ever before. We're getting closer, Kayla said, though everyone on board knew that no one could predict what would happen next. But one thing was certain, they wouldn't give up, not now, not while the alien lives were still calling for help. The ship continued its approach toward the fourth planet, the energy from the collapsing star growing ever stronger around them. The space became chaotic, and with every jolt of the ship, it was a reminder of the fragility of human life. Faint light from the planetary debris filtered through the ship's windows, creating a breathtaking yet threatening spectacle. We can't stop now, Captain, Nix warned, his eyes fixed on the display. The gravitational field is changing constantly, and if we get any closer, the ship won't survive. Kayla could feel the tension in Nix's words, but she also knew they had no other option. Turning back was not a solution. Saving the alien lives was the mission she had commanded. Even if it meant sacrificing her own life, she would never regret it. "We have to approach even if it means facing death," Kayla said, her voice resolute. "We've chosen this path and I won't give up." Everyone on the ship fell silent, each person confronting their own inner conflict. Life and death decisions and fear, everything intertwined. But then as they saw the strange lights from the alien ship, a glimmer of hope flickered in the darkness. Perhaps with a bit of luck, they could achieve the impossible. The ship drew closer, and at that very moment, a shrill alarm sounded from the ship's systems, signaling a sudden change in energy. The screens began to flicker, and data from the space scanners became chaotic. The whole ship shook violently, and the screeching sounds of metal echoed throughout. Kayla gripped her seat, her body held firmly by the seatbelt. Everything around her became dark and disorienting. "We're entering dangerous territory." Ren's voice crackled through the comms, her tone full of worry. "There's a massive shift in the gravitational structure. I'm not sure we'll make it through." Kayla didn't respond immediately. She just looked out the window where the debris from the destroyed planets continued to spin. And amidst it all, an alien ship, the Vani's ship, was sinking into death like a light extinguishing its last flicker. "We have to save them," Kayla whispered, almost as if speaking to herself. "But how?" Nix asked, his voice carrying a hint of desperation. "We can't continue. We can't fight this pull." "We can," Kayla responded firmly. "If we can't do it, then we'll die with them." The ship shook again, but this time it wasn't the gentle tremors they had felt before. It was a violent jolt enough to tear apart internal structures. The lights on the ship flickered continuously, and the sensor systems lost their stable signals. Everything descended into chaos. At that moment, a sudden signal appeared on the main screen. It was faint but clear, a signal from the alien ship. A hazy image appeared on the screen showing the silhouette of a tall, thin creature with pale blue skin and large eyes looking at the ship with a gaze full of hope. "We can do this," Kayla said quietly, as if to herself. "They need us." The entire crew stood still. No one spoke, but everyone understood they were standing on the brink of a historic moment. The moment of salvation wasn't just about saving an alien species. It was about their own survival, proving humanity's courage in the face of imminent danger. "Rescue team prepare," Kayla ordered. "I want everyone ready for action immediately. Ensure we have enough power to reach them." The gravitational pull from the collapsing planet was growing stronger, but at this moment, their ship remained steady and resilient. Though it could be their final action, Kayla had no regrets. Every step they took was a battle against death, but they were unafraid. They had come too far to turn back. The ship continued to glide through space, moving into an area of extremely strong gravity, where everything seemed to twist and fold in on itself. But in that dark space, the strange light from the alien ship still glowed brightly, like a call for help. A trap, a disaster, or simply a precious cry for salvation. A rare moment in the universe where humanity could change the fate of an alien life form. These questions would only be answered when they reached that alien ship. Their ship hurtled through the chaotic space where gravitational waves twisted, and the light from planetary debris reflected like tiny sparks in the dark. Everything around them was uncontrollable, a world breaking apart, and a ship with a fragile hope inching ever closer to its doom. Kayla couldn't help but think that they might be walking into a trap, but in that moment, there was no time for second-guessing. "We're almost there," Nick spoke up, his voice filled with worry, his eyes glued to the display. "The gravitational field is doubling in strength. If we don't slow down, we won't be able to escape." Kayla didn't respond immediately. She looked at the screen in front of her where the faint rescue signals continued to pulse from the alien ship. It was life, it was the last hope. If they didn't act, they would leave another being to face their fate, meaningless extinction. "There's no way to slow down now, Nix," Kayla replied, her voice firm. "We've chosen this path. It's too late to turn back." She ordered the ship to continue ignoring the warnings and the dangers they were about to face. But as the ship moved deeper into the heart of the collapsing star system, a suffocating and tense feeling overwhelmed all the fears in Kayla's heart. There was no changing this decision. The rescue had to happen, even if it meant paying with their own lives. "Begin deploying the rescue team," Kayla commanded. "Everything is ready. We can't back down." The Marine team was already prepared, suited in specialized gear, and equipped to handle the harshest environments. Sergeant Alex Stone, the team leader, was the first to step forward. His team was trained to perform rescue operations in the most dangerous conditions. They knew they might not return. But one thing was clear: if they didn't act, no one else would save these alien lives. "Everyone get ready," Stone said in a deep, resolute voice. "We don't have much time. The mission is to save them. No one gets left behind." The airlock doors of the ship opened, and immediately the rescue team moved into the space. The sensation of weightlessness and the overwhelming gravitational force from the collapsing star made each step a battle against themselves. The powerful pull tried to drag them away, but they kept pushing forward, fighting against everything the universe could throw at them. "The remaining distance is a few hundred meters," Stone reported through his earpiece. "Don't let this gravity stop us. Keep moving." The space around them was filled with debris, massive rocks spinning like deadly balls. Every time a chunk of debris passed them, everyone felt as if it could end everything. But they pressed on step by step, even as the distance became increasingly difficult to navigate. The gravitational force tore at their bodies, but they remained resolute. Stone was the first to approach the alien ship, the Vonnie's ship. The debris surrounding it was like shards of broken glass cracks spiderwebbing across its surface. But inside that spacecraft, there were still lives. The alien creatures, thin, frail, with pale blue skin and large eyes, looked toward the ship with eyes full of fear. Their bodies seemed unable to withstand the harshness of this environment. "We're here to help," Stone said over the comms, his voice steady but determined. "We'll get you out of here." One by one, the rescue team began pulling the alien creatures toward their own ship. Each trip was a battle against gravity and death, but they didn't stop. No one was left behind. They had been trained to face the most perilous situations, and now was the time to prove that humanity never gives up. Captain Kayla stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the display screen. Every time the rescue team reported progress, she felt a slight sense of relief. But she couldn't fully relax until all the alien lives were safely rescued. Finally, as the last of the aliens were brought aboard the ship, a profound silence enveloped the vessel. Everyone listened intently, not daring to breathe too deeply just yet. This rescue meant they had completed their mission, but the danger was far from over. The gravitational pull was still immense, the ship was still shaking, and every second that passed could be their last. "We've saved them." Kayla whispered, her gaze on the alien creatures lying in the med bay. "Now it's time to get out of here." Their ship turned, heading toward a safer region of space. But this journey was more than just a rescue mission. It was a testament to courage, to the belief in the best of humanity. They had done the impossible, saved an alien species in its most desperate hour. Their ship began to turn back, but the salvation was just beginning. The gravitational pull from the collapsing star still dragged them deeper into the danger zone. Although the crew had saved the alien lives, the price of this action had yet to be determined. Everything was still in a state of high alert, and the danger loomed at every moment. "We're being pulled deeper," Nix reported, his voice tense. "All systems are exceeding their limits. If we don't do something now, the ship won't be able to withstand this pull." Kayla no longer had the luxury of time to think. The decision had been made to save lives no matter what. But now she was faced with a far greater problem. How would they escape this space before the ship was torn apart? "Captain, if we don't take immediate action, the ship won't survive. The hull's integrity is severely compromised," came the report from the chief engineer. She could feel the weight of this decision. They had saved the alien lives, but now they were the ones in need of rescue. They were facing the very destruction they had narrowly escaped, and now they had to fight to survive. "Activate the emergency weapon systems," Kayla ordered. "We have to break the gravitational spiral to get out, but we don't have much time." Everything started to spiral out of control. The ship's display screens began to flicker, signals were interrupted. Kayla felt the tension as the ship began to spin at nearly uncontrollable speeds. The power of gravity pulled them off their safe course. Cracks on the ship's hull became more evident, and the lights from the energy systems began to flicker erratically. "The hull pressure is at maximum," the engineer continued, his voice urgent. "If we don't release some of the strain, the ship won't hold together." Kayla stared at the screen where the image of the Vani's alien ship was fading away in the dark void. They had saved those lives, but they couldn't die here. They couldn't let their sacrifice be in vain. She knew their ship had surpassed its tolerance limits, but there was still one last chance. If they could break free from the pull and escape this danger, they would survive. "Rescue team," Kayla ordered. "Prepare for another mission. Do everything you can to help the ship break free from this pull, any way possible." The entire crew knew this mission was almost impossible, but they had been trained to face any challenge, even if it meant sacrificing their lives. Nothing could stop them now. The ship began to shake violently again, this time with extreme jolts. The ship's systems emitted sounds like they were about to break apart. And outside the windows, the image of planetary debris continued to spin like it was threatening to swallow everything. "Everything is collapsing," Nick said, his voice filled with despair. "We can't go on. If we don't do something, we'll be crushed." At that moment, there was a deafening crash, a shockwave so powerful it hit the hull of the ship. The energy systems shut down, and the entire ship was plunged into darkness. The crew was thrown to the ground, and the sensation of suffocating darkness surrounded them. In that moment, everyone knew they only had one final chance to survive. "Report the situation," Kayla screamed, but no one answered. All systems were offline. They had no way to control the ship anymore. The hull was severely damaged. The moment of desperation had arrived. Everything could end in an instant. "No, we won't give up," Kayla said, her eyes steely with resolve. "At any cost, we will survive. We'll fight until the end." In that moment, a faint glimmer of light appeared on the display, a weak signal from a rescue ship. The Alliance ships had received their distress signal and were on their way to help. "All right, we still have a chance," Kayla said, gripping the control panel tightly. "Everyone get ready. We'll move out the moment the rescue ship arrives." Despite the damage their ship had sustained, and even though everything could end at any moment, the crew remained steadfast. No one gave up. Because they knew that their sacrifice, their courage, and this situation would change the entire universe. A single decision by humanity could awaken an entire galaxy's civilization, and perhaps one day they would be remembered not for the danger they brought, but for their resilience and their refusal to ever give up. In the hopeless darkness of the ship teetering on the brink of collapse, the crew did not give up. Though all systems had shut down, the hull was cracked, and the gravitational pull from the dying star continued to drag them deeper. They remained steadfast. Kayla stood amidst the wreckage, watching the screen where the rescue signal from the nearby rescue ships was slowly fading, but still visible. "We have to hold on until the rescue ships arrive," Kayla said, her voice soft but unyielding. "No one is allowed to give up." Everyone aboard could feel the heaviness in the air. No one spoke, but their eyes said it all. They all knew this could be the final moment. But they also understood that without this determination, they wouldn't escape the spiral of destruction. As the signal from his rescue ships grew clearer, a sense of relief began to infiltrate the hearts of the crew. They were no longer alone. A group of rescue ships from the Alliance had picked up their distress signal and were closing in. Large rescue vessels from different civilizations within the Alliance were heading toward the stranded ship, and this was their chance to save the crew. "Captain, the signal from the rescue ships is clear now," Ren reported, her voice filled with hope. "They are approaching at maximum speed. We will survive." Kayla couldn't hide the joy in her heart, but she maintained her calm demeanor. Everything they had been through made it impossible for her to relax just yet. She looked at her crew, each of them people who had fought together, faced death to save alien lives. They deserved to live to be protected. "Connect with the rescue ships," Kayla ordered. "Get everyone into safe positions. Make sure we're ready." The rescue ships from the Alliance were approaching at lightning speed, and soon the display screen on their ship showed images of the rescue crews. The heavily armed rescue ships designed to handle the most dangerous situations began to fill the space around their ship. Although the powerful gravitational waves still surrounded them, the rescue ships were now close enough to offer hope. One by one, the rescue ships approached, slowly pulling the crew out of the danger zone. The alien lives, frail and weak, were moved to the rescue ships where doctors and medical personnel were ready to take care of them. Kayla watched the screen, where she could see the rescue teams tirelessly working to bring everyone aboard the rescue vessels. They had survived not just because of luck, but because of the unwavering resilience and sacrifice of the crew. Though the danger had not yet passed, they had completed the most important mission of all, saving alien lives, those creatures who could not protect themselves against the harshness of space. "It's done," Nick said, his voice filled with exhaustion, but also a hint of relief. "Everyone is safe." Kayla looked around the bridge, gazing at each member of her crew. They had fought with everything they had. No one had given up. They had done the impossible, and now they would continue to survive. She felt an immense pride swelling in her heart, but this pride also came with a lingering anxiety. Would these alien lives understand the sacrifice of humanity? Would they realize that it was humans, survivors of countless years of war, bloodshed, and danger, who had saved them? This could change an entire civilization, open a new door for all species in the galaxy. As the last rescue ship left the dead zone, Kayla turned back to the screen, where the fading lights of the rescue ships merged into the dark expanse of space. It was a moment of peace after the storm. Everyone knew that although this journey wasn't over, they had completed a great mission. "We did it, Captain," Ren whispered, her eyes filled with emotion. Kayla smiled, though she knew it was just one part of the endless war of the universe. But at least now they had created a light in the darkness. A small light, but strong enough to change the course of the entire galaxy.